Hi, welcome to the Veterinary Hospital Managers Association webinar, Preventive Pet Healthcare, your guide to becoming a practice champion, how to use this workbook. I'm Kim Farina, a clinical veterinarian who specializes in writing and communications, and alongside me is Ms. Bobby Cotton, a certified veterinary practice manager at Animal Family Veterinary Care Center in Davenport, Iowa, and has been in the veterinary field for close to 20 years. Now, in the next 45 minutes, we'll be taking you through this workbook. There's one objective of this webinar, and that's to make you feel like you can succeed as a practice champion for preventive health care in your practice. So we'll go over the more challenging parts, or the parts that need a little more explanation in the workbook. The objective is for you to feel comfortable using this workbook and really just getting the most out of it. Now, it's recommended to have the workbook in front of you for this webinar, but it's not necessary. Mine is here right in front of me. Now, what I'd like you to do is put both of your hands on the workbook. Go ahead. Pick it up. See? Got some weight to it, doesn't it? All right, now, I don't want you to be overwhelmed because we're going to go through it together. Let me provide some background first before we dive into the workbook. The Veterinary Hospital Managers Association and the National Association of Veterinary Technicians in America, with the support of Partners for Healthy Pets, wanted to develop an initiative that veterinary technicians and practice managers could be at the forefront of, an initiative you could champion. Now, I know you're probably thinking, how do you lead something as big as this? Well, the answer is this workbook. It was designed for you with the guidance, the input, and the oversight of your colleagues. Now let's think about preventive pet health care for a second. Did you hear of a patient at your practice that during their yearly checkup, your team was able to catch a disease early thanks to a routine test? My latest patient was Cooper. He was a big golden who was about 7 or 8 years old, and we performed his checkup and discovered the reason he was walking so slowly is that he had severe arthritis. Now, thanks to a prescription of NSAIDs, the owner told me, you know, he's acting like a puppy again, which is awesome. Now you're asking, why should I become a champion of preventive health care? You know, what's in it for me? Well, you get to learn new leadership skills so that you can earn new leadership responsibilities. You know, it shows your value as an employee, and, you know, when it comes down to it, it's best medicine. You can make a difference. What's in it for everyone else? All right, the team. Well, working together as a team to provide higher quality preventive care will definitely boost morale. For the client, you get clear and consistent direction on what your practice recommends to keep patients healthy. And for the patient, well, yeah, they're always our highest priority, and the benefit is really a healthier, longer life for them. Okay, let's look at the Champion Workbook now. So get your workbook, and please open your workbook to Section 1, Page 1. This is the introduction. To sum it up, you've seen examples of preventive health care, keeping pets active and healthy through their entire lives, the way it should be, right? Well, the trick is keeping the spotlight on preventive health care in your practice. Now, I want you to look at this picture on your screen. How often does your practice look like this? Oh, yeah, I know. We've all been there. It's busy, it's hectic, it's loud, and really nobody ever gets to eat their lunch. And that's when we forget the importance of preventive care, so that every practice needs a champion to keep the spotlight on it. I think that's the issue. I mean, just think about a patient in your practice that would have benefited from a wellness checkup. In my world, I think of Manny. He was this 12-year-old domestic short hair who came in bad shape from undiagnosed diabetes. If only we kept the focus on prevention. So the champion's got to be you. Behavioral changes definitely take time, and this workbook helps you make positive change in your practice. Here are the results that you should expect from this workbook. Okay, I'm going to go through them. Number one, a shared philosophy about preventive health care across the practice. Number 2, a written protocol that everyone's going to follow. Number 3, consistent messaging from the entire team on preventive health care to your clients. Number 4, the value of forward booking appointments. And number 5, the importance of social media. Okay, please turn to page 5, section 2, getting started. Are you on page 5? Okay, great. First, take time to read through the workbook. Okay, but not right now, not right now. Now, assuming you've read through it later, you now would understand the benefits of taking on this challenge. You can do it and make a difference. You are going to be the champion to make preventive health care a priority in your practice. Fantastic. Awesome. Now, the next step is you have to meet with your practice owner to get his or her approval and full support. That's in the next section. And we give you everything. I mean, everything you need for that meeting with your boss is in this workbook. Section 3 walks you through the prep work, the actual meeting, and what to do after the meeting. Now wait, before you turn the page, I want you to congratulate yourself. You have started down a path that's going to benefit your patients, your clients, your practice, yourself, and your mother. Maybe. No. Oh, okay. Wait, Bobby's giving me a look. I'm going to just continue. Section 3. Please turn to page 7. That's the beginning of section 3. This section helps you prepare and get organized before you introduce the project to your boss. It goes over how to conduct the meeting and the follow-up action. Now here's the real deal. You have to pick a good time to talk during the day. You know, not during a surgery, not when it's super busy. You know what I'm talking about. I think a very important point is you have to think like your boss. This is really key. Just consider the benefits of the project from the owner's perspective. Present it almost like a case that solves their problems, because you want to ensure them of a successful outcome. Your practice owner needs to know this is doable and a difference is going to be made in your practice. So put your best foot forward, even if you don't have a pedicure, I know. In other words, be open to learning as you go. Just be open to it. It's okay. And get your papers together, which we've provided, each step of the way, and get that meeting with your practice owner. One thing I want to point out is starting on page 8 and sprinkled throughout the workbook are sample emails you can send to your practice owner or your staff. You can also use the words suggested in the email samples and express them verbally if that works easier for you. We're giving them to you to get ideas. Now, please turn to page 9. All right. Remember when you were in the debate club in high school? You have to, number 1, know your facts. And number 2, make sure you know all the different angles of the topic. It's the same thing when you meet with your practice owner. Page 9 really just gets all your ducks in a row. So first, what are you proposing to do? And it gives you all the talking points to that question. Do you see them? They're listed right below. So the 4 biggies of this workbook are, number 1, create, review, revise, or validate a preventive health care protocol so the entire team is on the same page. Number 2, ensure the entire practice team communicates consistent educational messages and preventive health care recommendations. Number 3, create, review, revise, or validate the method for forward booking appointments. Number 4, think about what your practice is doing in social media. Now you can do one of these, you can do all of these, it's up to you. Please turn to page 13. As you can see on page 13, there are the forms we recommend you have for your meeting with your practice owner, so it's obvious. And so you want it to be successful. Underneath the name of each form is a description of what it is and what page number it's on. For example, you're going to want the meeting agenda to keep you on track and remember your talking points. the workbook process diagram. Now, flip over to the next page for just a peek. Go on, flip over. Okay, it's a visual diagram to show your practice owner that you have a solid plan to follow. Now, the facts and figures visual, if you go 2 pages into the workbook, just flip in 2 pages, yep. It gives you lots of data to support your argument on why this is a good initiative to champion. We're going to take a look at the rest of these pages in a moment. Please turn to page 14. Okay, you can use this page to show your practice owner that there's a solid step-by-step process that can lead this initiative to success. Now, I admit, I helped design this page, and it's a lot of words. I know this, but I'm going to help you through it. Okay, put your finger on number 1. Okay? Now, move it to number 2. Okay? It's on 2. Then put it on number 3. Number 3 is at the top. Okay, stop. Number 3 is about making things happen. That's execution and implementation. So if you're going to champion the preventive healthcare written protocol, you're going to go to section 5. If you're going to champion your protocol on forward booking appointments, which is making sure all pets have their next appointment booked before they leave the office, regardless of the reason for their current visit, you'll head to section 6. If you want to work on a plan for social media, you'll head to section 7 and follow those steps on pages 71 through 78. So this is a roadmap to guide you. Okay, please turn to page 17. All right, it's the day of the meeting. When you meet with your practice owner, you're going to have your agenda on page 16 to keep you on track. And one of the first things you both have to determine is, what can our practice do better? You've got to ask that question. So this form is going to help you. So I want you to read along with me. You can read out loud or you can read in your head some of the listed questions. Number 1, does our practice have a written preventive healthcare protocol? Number 2, does everyone on the team agree on the details of the protocol? Number 3, do we all share the same philosophy about preventive healthcare? Number 4, do we feel that the entire team communicates the same messages about preventive healthcare to clients? Number 5, do we always make sure that every client leaves with a booked appointment for their pet's next visit? Number 6, are we using social media to our fullest potential? Now, if you and your practice owner answer no to any of these questions, then you're actually in a great space because you're acknowledging there's room for improvement and better quality care for your patients. Awesome. Okay, let's turn to page 18. Now, at this point, you and your practice owner have decided that there are things that can be improved in your practice. You're pumped, you're excited. However, there's a second part to the success of this project. You need your practice owner's full support and endorsement. So what this is here is really a contract. You've got to put the pen to paper and put this support in a written contract. This is going to be the proof that your practice owner is on board and serious about making change in the practice. Okay, I'm now going to turn over the discussion to Ms. Bobby Cotton, who's going to review the next 2 sections with you.
Hi, this is Bobby. I am super excited about the next section, which is engaging the team. If you're in the correct tab, you should be on page 21. Section 4. This section helps you prepare and organize before you introduce the project to your practice team. You will also use this part of the workbook to compile results from a survey that you will give to every member of your team, which is appropriately called the team survey. Remember, when it comes down to it, this is a team project. Instead of using the word I when you talk about the project, use the word we and talk about what we are going to accomplish, because the only way this will be a success is if your team is on board and is an active part of the process. Your team is on the front line, so to speak, having those important and sometimes critical conversations with clients. Once those survey results are collected and compiled, you'll meet a second time with your practice owner to look over the results. By the end of this section, you and your practice owner will know which of the 3 preventive healthcare topics your practice wants to focus on first. On page 22, that's the next page, there is a sample email that you could send to your boss reminding them about the important role that they play in launching the project to your entire team. As someone who has gone through this process, I would really encourage you to use the tools that you have been given. The masterminds behind this project have done most of the hard work for you. You just have to pick it up and apply it. Now turn to page 23. Before the staff meeting at which you and your practice owner will launch this project, prepare your talking points ahead of time. On this page, there's a list of bullet points to coach you through the most important points that your staff needs to know. I would recommend that the practice owner introduces the project first and states his or her 100% support, of course, and then introduces you as the champion. I would focus on the idea of improving on the good job your practice is already doing. This is key. The point of this is not to say what we aren't doing right. The point is to make it better, be more cohesive, do a better job of communicating with clients. In order to start the process, you want input from the entire team from the team survey. You can explain that everyone will benefit from this project. Our practice, our clients, our patients, ourselves. It would be hard for anyone on your team to argue that they don't want the same thing. Be sure to explain the following points to your practice team. You all know preventive pet healthcare is an important part of taking care of patients. Explain that you and your owner are exploring 3 ideas related to preventive healthcare. 1, updating, creating, validating your written preventive healthcare protocol and reviewing what and how information is communicated to clients. 2, updating, creating, validating a forward booking process so that no client goes home without knowing when their pet's next appointment is scheduled. This includes medical rechecks and next year's wellness or preventive healthcare exams. 3, how social media can and should be used to emphasize the importance of preventive healthcare. On the next page, there are some tips for taking questions from the group. Please read through these questions and prepare. There will be questions, and no one knows your team better than you and your practice owner. Try and anticipate the kinds of questions they may have and be prepared with your answers. It is important to present this initiative as a united front. Before the staff meeting at which you and your practice owner will launch this project, prepare your talking points ahead of time. On this page, which is page 23, there is a list of bullet points to coach you through the most important. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm repeating that. Please turn to pages 26 to 28. Sorry, the practice team survey. This is the survey you will distribute to the entire practice team. It will give you and your practice owner a good sense of what your team members think about preventive healthcare at your practice. The surveys are anonymous so you can get good, honest feedback. The goal is to make practicing and talking about preventive healthcare easier and more consistent, which will in turn benefit patients, clients, and your practice. There's some really great questions in this survey which will elicit great discussion points for training and for future team meetings. Specifically on page 26, question 3 and question 6 in section 1, which asks, if you do not follow the protocol that we have, list 3 reasons why you find it difficult to follow. This is critical. This is going to give you the insight you need into formulating a protocol that works for your practice. Number 6, if there are specific preventive healthcare recommendations that you feel need discussion or clarification, list them here. This is also a great talking point. It will help your team get on the same page. On section 2, on page 27, question 4, basically creates your discussion points. Which preventive healthcare topics do you find most difficult to discuss with pet owners? These scenarios are perfect to role play. Take a moment to flip through the rest of the survey now. Now turn to page 29. At this point, you've handed out the surveys at the staff meeting. Now you have to get them back. Use reminders or incentives if needed. Make it fun. Remember, everyone's input is valuable. You can't paint a complete picture of your practice without it. So after you've begged, pleaded, cajoled, and coddled your staff into completing the survey, you'll compile the results. This workbook couldn't have made that task any easier. Once the results are compiled, you will schedule a meeting with your practice owner, meeting number 2, to look at the results and decide which of the 3 areas of preventive health care you want to work on in your practice. Now turn to pages 30 and 31 and take a peek at 32 and 33. The team survey will show you what's really happening in your practice. These 4 pages help you wrap your head around the honest data. Go through each completed survey and mark off the boxes depending on your colleagues' answers. A big picture begins to emerge. Now turn to pages 34 and 35. In your second meeting with your practice owner, you'll review the practice team survey results. Based on that review and what you learned, you and your practice owner will complete the following 2 pages. As you can see, the following questions are asked. 1. Are there opportunities to improve our preventive health care through clarifying our written protocol and educational messages? Then you answer yes or no. For example, do we even have a written preventive health care protocol? Does the team use it in an effective way? Does the team seem clear on all preventive health care recommendations? Does the team know what preventive health care messages they should be educating the pet owner about? Do they match with our existing practice protocol? Is the team comfortable having educational conversations with clients about health care recommendations? If you and your practice owner answered no to any of these questions, and especially if you answered the same question differently, your practice will benefit from using Section 5. On a personal note, this part of the process for me and the practice I work at was instrumental. I came into this practice as a new practice manager for them, and I realized that as educated as the team was and as long as they had been here, when you start adding new people, the messages start changing. There isn't that training process normally where you go through and you say, this is exactly how you should talk about this to the clients. This is our protocol, this is our process. This brings that to light. It brings you together as a group, and it brings back that message, the message that you should be talking to clients about in the room. You might not say it the same way as somebody else, but as long as the same message is being heard, that's what's key. Now turn to page 35. Forward booking. Remember, all clients should leave the office knowing when their pet's next appointment is scheduled, regardless if it is a medical recheck or next year's annual wellness or preventive health care exam. Here are the questions about forward booking. Are there opportunities to improve our forward booking process? Do you have a forward booking process? Do we need to define the roles and responsibilities? Do you need to write, revise, or clarify a written protocol? Then answer yes or no to the follow-up questions. For example, do we have a written forward booking protocol? Do we think that our written forward booking protocol is as good as it could be? Does the team seem to understand and agree on the importance of forward booking? Does the team agree that the current method of forward booking works? Are you tracking how well you're accomplishing this? If you and your practice owner answered no to any of these questions, then your practice would benefit from Section 6. A third question is asked. Are there opportunities to improve our social media presence? More questions are asked. Like the previous ones, you answer with a yes or no. Do we have a social media presence? Do we feel our practice has optimized our social media opportunity? Do we feel our practice understands what kind of social media content connects best with our clients and where to find it? If you and your practice owner answered no to any of these questions, then your practice would benefit from using Section 7. Now turn to page 36. This is where you and your practice owner decide on a plan and a timeline for the next steps in the project. Start with marking what you're going to tackle first. Please don't try to do everything at once. Take little steps. That is the best way to success. For Section 5, Written Preventive Healthcare Protocol, and Section 6, Forward Booking Appointments, you'll need to select a Practice Leadership Committee, or PLC, to discuss and come to a consensus on recommendations, protocols, and educational messages. When picking a Practice Leadership Committee, consider these points. The committee may include the entire practice, or be as small as the practice owner and yourself. You and your practice owner should decide what is best for your practice. The practice owner should chair and select committee members with your input. The committee must have knowledge and authority to make decisions about healthcare recommendations, protocols, and educational messages. Consider having a representative from different groups of the staff, front desk staff, technicians, veterinarians, etc. Try to limit the size of the committee to no more than 6 to 8 members. Isn't this exciting? Are you starting to see the possibilities take shape? Recognize that this is workable? Please turn to page 37. We are now diving into the Written Protocol tab. Very exciting, everyone's favorite. This begins Section 5, Creating, Revising, or Validating Your Practice's Preventive Healthcare Protocol. Some of the things you'll need to do in Phase 1. Organize and facilitate the first Practice Leadership Committee meeting to craft the new protocol. There you'll discuss and evaluate your current protocol, if you have one, compare it to some published protocols, and come to a consensus on any changes that you may want to make. After the meeting, you'll draft the new protocol document and have it approved by the Practice Leadership Committee. Then you'll introduce the final protocol to the entire practice team at a staff meeting. Your section also includes the AHA VHMA Canine and Feline Preventive Healthcare Guidelines, which serves as a great tool for developing your own guidelines, tailored to your practice. One of the tips included in this section on page 49 recommends that you and the practice owner should determine the number of staff meetings that should be dedicated to implementing the new protocol and discussing the educational topics that will be emphasized by the practice. I would caution you not to underestimate the amount of time this will take your team. Give them the time to really understand the protocol and to be comfortable discussing it. Give them the opportunity to role play discussing this topic with clients. The more comfortable they are discussing it, the more sure they are on why you recommend it, the better and more cohesive that message is to the client. This results in greater compliance. The only thing worse than no educational message in the exam room is a conflicting educational message in the exam room. Now let's turn to page 51. This is a continuation of Section 5. After you've presented the new written preventive healthcare protocol to the entire team, you then need a second PLC meeting. At that second meeting, you're going to utilize the recommendations reflected in your new protocol to identify the why and how details of the educational topics you would like to communicate with clients. I can't emphasize enough how important the why is in your discussion. It needs to be a why that makes sense to clients. Not the same. It may not be the same why that makes sense to you or the doctors you have on staff, but it's the why that matters to them. Why should their pet have a dental cleaning? Why should their pet receive this vaccination? Why does it matter to them? And it's personal to them. This is a part of their family. Make it personal. Give them examples. If you've been in the industry for a minute, you know of a couple examples that would benefit your clients just hearing it. Your story. Maybe it's you have your own unique stories that you hear, or it may be a story that you borrowed from one of your teammates, but whichever and however you get that message across, if it benefits that patient, I would use that message if it works for you and you're comfortable discussing it. At this point, these topics should reflect the most important recommendations in your new protocol. You'll discuss how you're going to talk about these topics to your clients. At this point, you'll want to identify resources to be used for staff communication training at your practice. We rarely take the time to critically assess our own verbal and nonverbal communication skills because we want to believe that we are already pretty good at them. But effective communication takes practice. much like anything else you want to become proficient at doing. Page 59 of the workbook gives great suggestions as to where you can look for enhanced communication skills training. As you flip through the rest of Section 5, there are some important take-home messages. Make sure you take the time to read the rest of this section, but not right now, because we've got more to cover.
All right, thanks, Bobby. So everyone, please turn to page 61. All right. Forward booking means booking all patients' next appointments before they leave the practice after their current visit. So this needs to be done for both medical progress exams, rechecks after surgery, and for preventive health care. That's the yearly or twice yearly exams, whatever your practice decides to do. Okay, I have a personal question for you. When did you last go to the dentist? Now, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but if you remember, before you leave the dentist, what do you do? And I know, besides getting excited about your new toothbrush, think about it. What do you do? Well, the answer is the receptionist books your next cleaning 6 months ahead. Aha! Okay, so you have your appointment before you leave. And this has made a huge difference in the dental profession in terms of increasing compliance, providing better care, and prevention. They are smart. Now, it's the same idea for veterinary medicine. The bottom line is that when patients visit your practice at the appropriate time, they receive the quality of health care they need and deserve. Now, each staff member has to understand their roles and responsibilities in promoting forward booking. So for checklists, for team member responsibilities, you can take a look at the PDF resource, Forward Booking Appointments, How to Fill Your Appointment Schedule. And that's at www.partnersforhealthypets.org. Now, sometimes this is a hard topic to talk about. It's new. It's something the veterinary profession is not used to, but it's the right thing for our patients. So what is recommended to get your staff good at this? Any ideas? Okay, it's role play. Now, I hear the groans. Bobby, do you hear those groans? I hear the groans. Yes. I mean, the thing is, though, they really help with training. Role play is fantastic because they're going to help your team feel more comfortable with this new protocol. Just remember, it's a best practice because when they're seen at the right time, those patients are getting the best quality of care. All right, we're going to go right to Section 7, which is the social media plan. Please turn to page 71. This is Section 7, taking advantage of social media to educate your clients on preventive pet health care. I just want to make sure everyone on page 71? Okay. Now, in this section, you're going to figure out which social media platform is best suited for your practice and how to optimize your social media presence. So in this workbook, we focus a lot on Facebook because did you know every other person with internet on the planet uses Facebook? Did you know that? In fact, I'm going to ask, how many times did you check your news feed during this webinar? Look at your phone. Is your news feed there now? Okay, don't answer either. You keep that answer to yourself. Now, in this section, you'll first take the time to assess what your practice is currently doing in social media. You have to just look at what's happening today. Then you're going to compile ideas that can work for your practice. Now, how do you do this? You know what? You reach out to your colleagues and members of VHMA for ideas and support. It's good to support each other with the knowledge and to share best practices. VHMA.org has fantastic resources and really good webinars, besides this one, that you can use. Now, Partners for Healthy Pets Facebook page, Pet Wellness Pulse, provides daily content for you to share with your clients, and it's very easy to do. I'm just pointing this out because all the work is done for you. It's Pet Wellness Pulse, the Facebook page. Check it out. Now, I think you should also check out the American Veterinary Medical Association Facebook page, the VHMA Facebook page, and the American Animal Hospital Association Facebook page, because there's really good, credible content there. So I think that's a good place to start. Now, the nice thing is this section is going to walk you through developing a social media plan. I really like page 76. Okay, make a note of 76 because there's a template for you, and it really goes through the details of who should do what, at what time, and so forth. So after you make this plan, present it to your boss, then present it to the entire team, because the team has to be on board with your social media goals. And then you know what? You're on your way. Now, if you're an old pro at this, you're a social media guru, or you're a first-timer, I promise you there is something in this workbook to learn on any level that you're at. Okay? So you're going to get some fresh insight in this section. All right, Bobby, take us home.
Okay, please turn to page 79. This is the moment you've been waiting for, your celebration checklist. Plan a celebration. Be specific in your praise. Share success stories. And be sure to thank everyone, including your boss. It is only with their support that this initiative can be a success. You'll have a lot to be proud of when you accomplish this. Making change isn't easy, but you have to remember that small things add up to make a big difference. So now that you've celebrated, congratulated, and thanked, it's time to jump back into your champion role. That's right, your work's not over. Please turn to page 80. Page 80. On page 80, there's a checklist that should become a part of your regular routine. It is recommended that the Practice Leadership Committee meet on a quarterly basis to continue to set goals and review your preventive healthcare practices. You'll want to decide on ways to measure your positive changes and track progress. This worked extremely well for us. It was a great way for us to measure how we were doing, how the Partners for Healthy Pets program made a huge difference in our practice as far as compliance. You'll want to the third box is extremely important. Monitor, monitor, monitor. Should I say it again? Monitor. If nobody's paying attention, human nature tells us that people often fall back into previous behavior. We've all done it. We've all seen it. Let the team know that you are in this for the long haul. Keep talking about it. Bring it up. Go over it. Ask for examples at next meetings of success stories, of things that worked for them or things that didn't. If someone on your team is particularly good at discussing heartworm preventative, talk to them. Have them present part of the discussion. Let them say what they know about it. Your team will pick up on little bits and pieces of what that team member talks about and incorporate it into their own. And that's what works. When you keep up with the work, the accomplishments keep coming. I have to confess that I'm a huge proponent of this initiative. I could have probably just talked at lib for 45 minutes about this initiative and how important it is. I would recommend utilizing the workbook, the Partners for Healthy Pets website, and the toolbox that are located on the website to get your practice on track. Every practice can benefit from Partners for Healthy Pets. It's time to get excited about preventive healthcare. And if what Dr. Kim and I have said so far hasn't convinced you that this program or initiative is for you, let me conclude by saying this. If you utilize the tools that are given to you, if you take your role as champion seriously, thereby giving this program credibility with your team, then make way. For positive change is on its way in to your practice. Thank you.